It has been a time. We have made it through Eurovision. The depression is setting in. But before we get too far into that depression, I think it's time for us to look back and first impressions on what we saw. Thank you for being with us, Stephen and Katie.
Oh, always.
Thank you for having us back.
And Stephen, of course, we will go into your trip, the fact that you were there live, you saw it all in the live sessions. We will, of course, have time to go into that a little bit more. But for this episode, I think it's just getting some hot takes and where you're at. So maybe who wants to start us off with a hot take?
Out of the gate, Norway had the best staging. I think that's a hot take, but I stand firm in that.
I don't know if that I would give them the best staging in my book, but yes, for a song.
Who do you think had the best staging?
I really liked Luxembourg. I thought she used that stage very well.
I agree.
But to your point, he definitely changed it up from his national performance. Mm-hmm. He took the same concepts, but tweaked it just ever so slightly, and he really did use the entire stage, because I think we saw these acts having trouble figuring out what to do in that center section, and he was able to use it all.
Yeah. And being able to use all the different levels of the lights as they came down and things like that, and make it part of the set instead of just cool lighting accents. I think that he did a really, really good job of all right, here's all the elements we have to work with. I'm going to use a little bit of each one of them, use every inch of that stage, and be all over the place. And I loved it.
I think for me, Greece probably had the most dramatic staging. And from...
Hold on. I just want us to soak it in and revel in the fact that Stephen has something nice to say about Greece.
Because that was my next hot take was Greece was the best vocals. Well, I'll take that to the fucking grave.
Yeah, no, from a staging aesthetic as well, her performance on that end was probably one of my most favorite to see in person, just live and up close from that lens was probably one of the ones that I enjoyed the most, because it was just breathtaking. Even the reveal, seeing how it was done. From where I was standing, I was still trying to figure out how she went from black dress to white dress, because I could not figure it out until I finally saw how it was done on TikTok. But from where I was standing, I was like, I don't know how she did that so quickly when it went to pitch black in the arena. So
chills.
It was beautiful.
Even
to me, it was
talking about it, I have chills about that.
Yeah, definitely in the top 5 for staging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just the staging as a whole, I think a lot of these songs took everything to the next level.
A lot of them did.
A lot of them upped their game, for sure.
Because I was going to say, I understand that most people watching Eurovision are watching it from home. But I cannot stand made-for-TV staging. It was... Switzerland primarily, but even to me a little bit, Netherlands. It was so much about the camera work and the interactions with the camera and having it be those tight shots and stuff. It gave, I don't know, I wasn't there, but to me, it looks like it kind of gave nothing to the crowd. And that is really hard.
It's rough. Those ones, for me, it was more just enjoy the song for... what it is. When I get home and I watch it, I'm sure I'll appreciate it a little bit more. Right. So for Switzerland, for the Netherlands, I just was there to listen to them sing it, and then actively participate when asked to actively participate as a live crowd member. I'm talking to you, Switzerland.
Well, and I think there's a lot of them that have elements that are very much for the TV, and I get it. There's
it's a TV show.
There's 180 million people watching. Yep. 40,000 of those, not even 40,000,
14,000.
Yeah, it's a very small number that is there in person. So I get that, But having gone to Eurovision in Sweden last year, you remember how that felt in person. And so as I'm watching this, I'm thinking about, oh, they're not going to be able to see that. Like when Luxembourg in her opening,
Starts
she's
on the
laying on the
floor.
floor.
Yeah, she starts on the floor. Roger and I couldn't even see her from where we were
Right.
standing.
Iceland had a lot going on their floor. You had Poland with her dragon go down into the floor, which was amazing and I loved.
So cool.
But if you were in the audience, yeah, you didn't see
that. But I think there's a difference between having, you get the full effect from home, and if you're there, it's nothing. There's like two different things. And like I feel like Germany too, I also thought like, so the first half of the song, she's like behind the set decoration. Like she's in the set. And so when you're there, you're not seeing anything. But at least there was a set decoration and there was a little something on the stage and she came out in front of it. Like I think pulling the elements of some things that are like, oh, we can do this because it's televised versus if I was doing this as like a stage performer and it wasn't televised, I would have a completely different staging because I feel like some of it was just like only for the at-home audience.
It's not nothing. I think it will always depend on where you're placed as a live audience member and where your ticketed seat is. So Roger and I and Brian and Zachary hardcore reflected back on this, and now having sat sort of way in the back in Melmer and having now been on the floor for Basel, if I'm to do this over again, like I don't think I want to do floor seats again. As awesome as it is to be that like close to it.
Girl, my spine is too old to be standing for that long.
So long. Number two, I think you can see more of what's going on when you're actually like
elevated.
Just a little bit.
Well, because they also have larger screens that stay on. How do I explain this? And even for those that are like listening to this episode on YouTube or Spotify, so you've got multiple large screen monitors that are going on throughout the arena. But depending on where cameras are being placed during live recording, some of them have to black out in order for them to prevent being shown when you have other cameras coming in from the back. So like,
you don't want to be picking up the live feed on the on the camera.
So those ones that we're relying on to see like what's going on when Germany is like coming, performing in the giant boombox. We're kind of trying to rely on what's going on in there, but then the cameras coming in, it blacks out, so we can't see it. But there are still other large screen monitors in various angles that are not blacked out that other folks that are seated can still see. So they can still see what's going on. We just can't. So for me, that's where I'm like, if we were seated somewhere else, we probably could see what's going on the entire time. But there's other benefits too. Like I can just easily turn around and look up and I can see what everybody in the green room is doing, and y'all will never see what's going on there.
And that we will definitely get into in our next episode. But yeah, I think the complete made-for-TV staging is a little disappointing.
UK, we're also looking at you and your headboard. You had your backs to the audience like the entire time.
Oh yeah, no. And it's fine.
It's fine. Maybe that's why UK
doesn't got 0 points.
Vote. Oh,
yikes!
No, they're just staying on trend with like the normal public UK vote. Unfortunately,
yeah, they're just carrying on that Ollie Alexander legacy.
And the James Newman. Oh, hi James.
Oh, poor whatever James.
Hi,
Sorry,
James.
I will always say that. All right, so we talked a little bit about staging. I will also mention, Sweden. I love your staging. I did think that their staging from their national final to the final, yes, they tweaked it so that they would come up to the front, but I almost felt that they were like, we don't know what to do to change it all that much. Not that they needed to change anything, but it was one of the few performances that almost felt like identical.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And I didn't
I
mind
don't
it.
have any problems with that. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that, like, you saw most of these make changes. Theirs felt the most unchanged.
But
I
I
mean-
think for me, like, theirs was the one going in that I was like, if they didn't change anything, there's no problems. Like,
they didn't need to.
they didn't
honestly.
need to. Like, a bunch of the other, well, some of them we didn't have a live performance to compare it to, but
True.
for some of them, you know, like Luxembourg, for instance, they have a bunch more technology and things that they can utilize. And so why wouldn't they? And frankly, I was underwhelmed with their staging at the national final. So
Right.
like there were a few that it was like you could tell that the national final has a much smaller budget than the actual Eurovision does, where I don't know that that's necessarily the case in Sweden.
No. Kai had a concept. They had a
They knew
formula
what they
with
were
their
doing.
song. They knew what they were doing. The people loved it. We loved it. They were not going to steer away from it, and it was fine the way that it was. A 4th place finish, while I'm still a little surprised. It's still a strong finish. I still appreciated the live performance for what it gave us, and I can't fault them for anything that they did.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe that we suffered from winner fatigue with Sweden. And I think that's what, in my opinion, there's 2 things that robbed them the most. One is winner's fatigue, because everyone looks at it and said, they just won. And then the second is that there are multiple funny songs. And one of those funny songs was in English. And people probably potentially latched onto that.
And I think that us really talented people that are also funny sometimes get penalized for being funny as well as being incredibly talented. Like, they were not just a funny song. Like, if you listen to their isolated vocals of them singing, they're really talented musicians as well. Like,
Absolutely.
They are incredibly talented artists. Tommy sounded horrible. I love that song. Never want to hear it live again.
Yeah,
never want to hear it live again.
Focusing on vocals, they're not in the same.
I think I said this to you, Doug, when he came on, and it's like, yeah, girl, we can tell you're addicted to tobacco. You're out of breath from the first note.
I didn't mind it. I was fine with it.
It wasn't great. It was not great.
It gave me exactly what I was anticipating
Tommy
I'm Cash's performance to be. And
I'm
so that's
curious
why
what you say about his vocals when you see the stream of it, because I'm sure, like, I don't know how good the sound was, like, and how accurate it was in the arena, but usually you get a little bit of benefit of crowd noise and it doesn't sound quite so it's not so like raw.
Yeah,
he sounded rough.
Tommy's performance gave me exactly what I was expecting it to be, which was like classic Tommy Cash, and so that's where it landed for me.
But we gotta, throw it up for Karya, because the 3 acts that he threw his support behind finished 3rd, 4th, and 11th. Now, we can talk about how Erika finished 11th, and that was surprising. But just the fact that, you have this one artist who's beloved, threw his support behind 3 acts, and they all finish on the left side of the scoreboard.
Pretty strong. Yeah, very strongly. So,
but can we talk about Finland's performance then? Because I thought she was awesome. She was amazing. She was kick-ass. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
I do think there was one, I'm going to say pyro glitch looking back at the 2 performances. And I think it scared us. And I think it even scared her a little bit when the microphone started to rise and was blasting off during semifinal 2 when she performed. It actually kind of shot out, but it made a loud bang, and it scared the shit out of everybody in the crowd. But she even jumped a little bit. If you watch it back, you'll see her kind of jolt a little bit in surprise, but then go back to the final and it doesn't do that. And even all of us, not all, I can't say all of us, but myself, Roger, Brian, and Zachary in the crowd, we were waiting for it because we were like, okay, we know that a loud pop is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And this time around, we were like, oh, it didn't blow this time.
Okay.
So was that faulty? And then like looking back, it's like, oh no, I think the first time it was not supposed to do that because even Erika was a little thrown off.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
So.
And I feel like I saw.
Well,
something
I mean, that didn't
similar
stop
to
her
that,
from coming third in the semifinal.
No.
I mean, like she kicked ass, and I mean, she had the crowd eating out of the palm of her hand.
Yeah,
honestly,
for sure.
Okay. Well,
all right. And Stephen had to drop
Stephen
off
had to
for
run.
a little bit, but
we will
Doug
be
and I will
excited to
carry
have
it.
him back to tell us a little bit more about what it was like being there. But for the time being, I think let's continue on with some hot takes and just kind of, gosh, there's so much to unpack. It's so hard to know where to start and so hard to really think about what is the most important thing for me to mention. I think one of the...
I think I'm going to use my hottest take. Steven's going to think
we waited for him to leave, and now cue your hot take.
Now I get to say that I think Denmark needs... I think Sissal needed like pop star lessons. Like there was just a little level of comfort that she was missing. Like I really wanted her to just like own the stage. It still looked, she definitely had more choreography. She was definitely giving more than she did in her national final. But I think a lot of that had to do with staging and costume. Like she still, I was like, pick up your feet, do something, like even just like a little stomp, like as you're like making a big like statement or something. And when she started like walking the stage, like I wanted to see more of a strut than like it just looks like she's walking because I'm going to the next spot and I'm gonna sing, and I'm like, I wanted to see her just like pussy
and I
forward,
think that this is, we have critiques because we love her so much. So I don't want audience, don't come for us. We love her.
She got robbed. She should have done a lot better. Like, I think that I'm like devastated by the way the results came out for her, because there's no way that she
2
only
points
got
from
like,
public.
It just blows my mind. 2 points, and they were both from Iceland. Like she got points from one country in the public. That is absolutely mind-blowing. Her talent is like way beyond what that should have been. The song was way better than that.
And I think that's why
she was in the top 10 for me, like heartbeat. Like she was I think my number 3 in the like what I had. But I think the only thing is just like that little bit of just like boom, like stage presence, confidence, owning
I think
the
part of it is us.
I don't know that it would have
We're
made
trying
the
to
difference,
justify it in our heads,
you know,
right? Like I think that's what I'm doing, is I'm saying, okay, she got, what was it, 23rd? 22nd or 23rd when it came down to it. And so I'm trying to justify in my head, like, what could possibly have been that? And I think that's where it comes back to what you were saying, like, pick up your feet a little bit more, do maybe have tweaked this, or maybe, and it's just really trying to understand and grasp why it happened, because it was so good, and she was robbed.
And like the things that are the difference between like a star and a superstar, the things that are like, are you going on like a 15 city tour, or are you like on a world tour, packing stadiums, selling them out? Like, it's just like minor things, I feel like. And there's just that level of just like owning the stage. Sissal, come on the show. I want to be your friend. And I don't want you to be mad at me for saying this. But like I said, like you were saying, I think it's just me trying to figure out some reason why she didn't get more points.
We are trying to assign meaning to something that is hard for us to comprehend. Like, that's really what it comes down to.
It is meaningless. And she and Laura Thorn ended up tying with points. They had the exact...
Two of my favorite acts end up towards the bottom of the scoreboard tied. And I'm just like, I guess at least they're together? I don't... It was hard to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really hard to see. And yeah, I mean, and Spain being down so low really upset me. But then there's also part of me that's like, you shouldn't have revamped it. But
Don't touch what was already good.
girl, I mean, yeah, I would say, yeah, Luxembourg and Denmark are two of my like the shockingly lowest. And then, I know there's lots of reasons for it, but I think that San Marino should have
Right.
placed not last.
Yeah, and I think that people,
And I get all the small country, the DJ. I get all the
just because it makes
reasons
sense doesn't make us have to like
why.
it.
Correct. Doesn't mean it
Yeah,
makes
no,
sense.
I like San Marino more than it placed. They would not be my last place in the finals, that's for sure. I think I understand voting block wise. I get it. I think the audience might have been not in favor of a DJ, even though this is a song contest.
Yeah, not a singing contest.
But it's where we're at.
Yeah,
This is,
I don't know.
We have to contend with a larger public that are not as fancy as we are. Us and our
yeah, that don't know European music like we do.
that don't eat, sleep, and breathe this for the year. I mean, maybe that's why we have some of our favorites and we will cling to them for dear life. Like I will never let go of the fact that I love Luxembourg, and I know a chunk of that is because I've been following her journey for 4 months. And so
Right.
where she started, where she's at, and so then you have this like emotional attachment to the singer and the song, and I think we see a lot of that on the social media with these fans who do also live in the bubble, and some of these fans, they sure can get feisty once they have a strong opinion.
And I think another hot take that Steven's going to think that we waited on purpose about fans and voting. I don't think anyone should be able to vote twice.
The voting is,
and I know they're never going to change it because it makes them too much
money.
But I really hate the fact that if you have multiple forms of payment, if you have more money, your vote counts more. And I think maybe that's just like the real American in me.
I mean, it's
of like rich people's vote doesn't matter more than poor people's vote, but like it really does skew the public.
Well, and we saw this
results.
online. People were saying that I voted for 3 different countries because I have credit cards in 3 different countries, and you're just like, oh, I didn't.
Or I voted for one country 100 times because I have 5 different credit cards.
And I also have $100 to give to the song contest.
Right. Yeah.
I give them my blood, sweat, and tears. Like, and they want more money. It's like a religion. Oh.
I mean, come on. Honey, that's not a religion. That's a cult. Latvia.
But to that point, like the more money you have, like, and yes, it's by country. So you still have, and the rest of the world. So you still end up with 38 sections, regions, countries. But each one of those is going to have their folks that can give $100, can give 100 points, can say, well, I have citizenship and credit cards in these 4 countries.
And your rest of the world, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't matter if you have different credit cards in different countries. You're
still rest of the world. But yeah, there's too much money involved. The more credit card transactions you do, the more money they make. But I don't know what the solution becomes, because one idea that a friend said was like, well, why don't they do it by VPN? Okay, great. Well, or by IP address. Great. I have an iPad, an iPhone, a laptop, and a desktop. That doesn't solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you solve that problem, but there is an issue.
Well, and like I said, they're not going to, because if every one of those different two sets of 20 votes that a person gives is another 20 euros. They're not going to say, no, don't give us an extra 60 euros because you have 3 more cards, 3 more ways to pay, or 3 more IP addresses, or 3 more, whatever, like voter IDs or something. Like there's.
I'd be interested to know how many people do vote, because we know that some 160 million people watch. And I know obviously not everybody votes, but if everybody who does vote, let's just assume for a moment that everybody who votes does vote at least 20 times. How many millions, if not billions, is this bringing in?
I don't know. I mean, and that's why, like, I think I've seen calls for, oh, the semifinals should be juries only rather than televote. And I'm like, they're making too much money. They don't make any money from the juries. They have to pay juries probably. They probably lose money on juries. So they're not going to get rid of the televote, even if they also added jury. Like, they're never going to get rid of the televote now that they know.
Yeah, I think that there's a way potentially for them to shift, 75, 25, 60, 40, whatever, but you're not going to get rid of your moneymaker. So maybe folks who are listening have ideas on how you fix it. I'd love to hear them. I don't know what that fix is, because they want money. Money is that driving force. So
yeah.
But in the meantime, we see the driving force for some of these acts is their staging and their vocals, and you have to you have to have that complete package. You have to be able to put it all together.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about semifinals a little bit, because I love my Ukraine, but they should not have
won. They're too big to fail. Their diaspora is too big to fail.
I love my Ukraine. Should not have come in first. I know it at least wasn't as far ahead of Albania as New Day Will Rise was against the second place of the second semifinal. But so it was more even.
But I think most people can look at that and say, even if you like Ukraine, which we did, both of us, we have said we enjoyed their song. Was it the winner of the semifinal? No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think looking now that we have the score breakdown, because obviously in the stream, in the broadcast, we don't get in order or the score breakdown, but seeing that Cyprus had 44 points and San Marino, who did qualify, had 46. They were so close.
Yeah. The question, though, would you have swapped the two?
No.
Okay, so
for me, I wouldn't have.
I'm sad Steven's not here to be able to defend himself, because I think he would say that he would swap them, but I don't think I would.
Yeah,
I'm glad that San Marino made it in. Obviously, whenever one of your favorites does and doesn't make it in, you're conflicted. So, but I think I'd keep San Marino.
And yeah, and we don't know what then the finals outcome would have been, if it would have just been okay, San Marino's out, so now Cyprus comes in last.
Yeah.
I don't know. They might have placed higher. Who knows?
What happens in the semifinal stays in the semifinal. Just because you won your semifinal doesn't mean you're going to win the contest.
Ukraine. That was definitely from first to. I mean, they didn't end up super far back, but they weren't in the top 5.
They still ended up far higher than I expected them to, given.
They got voters.
That's where I say Ukraine is too big to fail in that regard. So, good for them. Yeah. Good for them for advancing.
So is the second place finalist also too big to fail right now. As long as they're in the contest, they're going to be up high.
So
even when we don't agree with it.
The votes are there. The votes are happening.
Second place song.
I mean, good for Ukraine for making it into the finals. I'm still surprised that they ended up ninth. Because you got to admit those vocals were rough.
And I think, yeah. And I think the thing that is surprising to me is that they tied with Albania with 218 points, because I think Albania came in with so much more hype, and like, granted, like, Albania got more of the public votes, but not that much more, and not that many fewer jury votes. So that was really interesting, because I wouldn't have like guessed that those two would tie.
Right. If you had told me before that it was going to end with Ukraine and Albania tied, I would have been like, I don't know what world you're living in.
In what world?
Yeah.
And if you had told me that Switzerland would come into the public vote with 214 points and leave the public vote with 214 points, I don't know if I would have believed you either.
What happened? I think
that was crazy.
I don't know. You can find a person who would be like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," because I think they set a record, right? The largest disparity between public and jury.
I think so.
214 to 0.
At least in that direction. I'm not sure if we've had a really poor performing jury voter do really well with the public, because I think we've seen that. I don't know if it's been a bigger disparity, but that disparity makes more sense to me. Having the public love a song that
the jury's like, yeah, basic, no,
critically panned. Yeah, I mean that happens. I mean, it's a Marvel movie basically of a song at that point, like not getting any awards, but making millions of dollars.
This is the opposite of that, where what, everybody hates this song that's watching. She sang it beautifully. Whether you like the song or not, she can sing it.
And I, I kind of shit on the staging, because I think it was made for TV, a little basic, but it was stunning. Yep. Her vocals were amazing. It was, really moving, like really pretty. 0 points. I'm shocked.
Let's talk about another 0 points. 0 points from the jury for Iceland. Oh no.
I had I have so many thoughts about it. I kind of get it.
I have said this all week last week. It is Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards performance, because they've got things flying at the screen. They leaned into the Minecraft and Roblox of it all. They had like the little swipe left, swipe right on the boat. I mean, they had cute moments, but they were very much targeting a demographic. And to that, I will say, phenomenal. No notes. You targeted that demographic, and if
you found your
if we broke it down by age group and who voted for who, I bet you Iceland got the kids' vote. If you are under the age of like 18, Iceland killed it.
Well, I mean, and when you look at like not only like the staging and some of the choreography, but like you'll look at the performers and you're like, oh yeah, all of you are 14.
I'm still surprised at how it got 0. Not even like no country through.
You know who wouldn't have got 0?
I was going to say Cyprus, but Virgo. Yes.
Virgo would have got points.
There's no way that the juries can deny that Storm Chaser is a good song. So
that's what I'm saying. Justice for
mathematically,
anyway.
Just mathematically looking at that, saying that there are, 37 countries who have a top 10. So you were not even 10th place for one of 36 other countries.
Not one.
That to me is wild. And again, Steven's not here for this, but you're telling me that their song Roa is 0, but a song that has 2 lines that repeat as a chant for 3 minutes is 100 points plus?
Oop, oop.
I'm not trying to be a hater. I was very surprised at how well Latvia did in the jury.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that too. Like seeing how many, because let's see, they got
116 jury points.
They got 12 points from
Yeah.
3 countries, from Lithuania, Denmark, and UK.
Right.
From the juries of 3 countries, they got 12 points, and a 10 from Australia. Like that's like, I wasn't expecting them to not get like any points, but I wasn't really expecting them to be a 12 point for any
and that's
jury.
where, like, I do appreciate the song. We've talked about it enough. We've talked about it jokingly, but also seriously, and just the level of voice, delivery that they have provided. It is,
and their staging was honestly perfect for it.
I'm just personally surprised at how well it did. Well, I still appreciate it.
And especially for a small country like Latvia, and for them to not be just doing well with other Baltic states. Like, I mean, the fact they got, UK, and like, that's not no one to give you
so
12
good for
points.
them.
I do think it's really cute though that San Marino's public votes, they got 12 from Italy.
You have to, right? Like,
how could you not? It's a love letter to your country.
Your little brothers in Eurovision with you. You got to give them your points, right?
Yeah. And like basically wrote a song about how much they love you.
Kind of adorable.
I love that.
It's adorable.
It made me really happy. It was really cute.
So there are 3 countries that I felt had similar vibes that they brought to the stage, and those are Italy, Lithuania, and Portugal. They had similar vibes. I'm not
right. Indie rock.
Like, listeners don't come for us. They are not the same songs. I just believe that they bring similar vibes to the table.
And I would say, like, if you tried to do like a rough genre breakdown of Eurovision 2025, those would all be in the same kind of
yes. So
region.
That being said, I believe that those 3 countries ended in the order that I would expect. So of those 3, Italy placed the highest, then Lithuania, then Portugal. So of the 3 that I believe are in the similar genre, I think they placed how they should have.
I think they came in the right order. Yeah, I would agree. And I have to say, I mean, I don't love the white face paint, but I mean, watching it, like whiny 70s guitar solo works on me.
I think the song grew. The song definitely grew on me. I don't like the staging of it. I didn't think it went well, but I appreciate what the song and the lyrics are saying, and I think that's what Italy had been trying to do for that was their campaign for the last several months, is just understand the meaning. And so, like, they kind of beat you with that until you were like, okay, fine, I like the song. And they got me.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know how much of it for me that growing on me was meaning versus just having more of an appreciation for the music itself, because I think there's like, okay, I was like, fine, I'm tuned into the lyrics, and some of them are nonsense still.
You gave me the translation and I still don't get it.
I mean, like, I get that it's like, I've never been the biggest or the strongest, and like I get it, but it is, and I think maybe there was part of me that was just being like a little bit petulant when they were like, "Come on, listen to the meaning." I'm like, "Screw you guys." Um, but it has grown on me, and I mean, but I will say I don't think that I wasn't expecting it to come
No,
in
I would.
fifth.
That was far higher than I ever would have placed it, and it's a good. It is a well crafted song. I would not put it in
Hmm.
the top 10, but good for
Yeah,
them. Good for them.
and that they got this is kind of funny. They got 12 points from Slovenia jury and 12 points from Slovenia
Slovenia, they
public.
are
So
on
Slovenia
board.
loves that song.
At least they're consistent. Thank you,
Yeah.
Slovenia.
I have a feeling that I'm going to be on this Eurovision
Oh my
World, the
gosh.
grid of all
The
the
amount of
points
time.
for about the next
The
4
amount of
months.
time that I have spent looking at it and the amount of time I know I'm going to spend looking at it. Not that I will make
Hmm.
any meaning out of it, but you'll just be like, oh, you'll start connecting the dots, and you see that, like, the Nordic countries are supporting the Nordic countries. Um, you,
Hmm.
I say that because I was specifically looking at Sweden, and they're getting 12 points from Denmark, Finland, and Norway, but only 10 from Iceland. How dare
Hmm.
you, Iceland? They should have been your number
Hmm.
one. Uh, so yes, I spend way too much
Yeah.
time looking at all of that. But I mean, that's kind of the fun analytics of it all, right?
Yeah, it is very much the like, okay, how can we parse this? How can we make sense of this? And yeah, that I had found a graph from Reddit that was like the um public versus jury, how that all kind
Mm-hmm.
of unfolded, and that was really fascinating to look at. I mean, I'm an engineer, so I always love a data. So, but yeah, I mean, it's the jury point give out was mind
13,
bending. I don't
13
know
out
that
of
we've
26 countries received a 12 point. So
that
half.
is
Half of everybody
crazy.
there got 12
Half.
points from somebody.
Like every time, like those top pull up before they announced the 12 points, and it was like, well, wait,
Right.
hold on,
You do
who
that real
if
quick
that's
mental
their
math.
like
You
if
go,
that's their
you're like,
two
I already
through
see
yeah,
Switzerland.
if
I
that's
already
their
see Austria. I already see Sweden. So
if
now
that's
what are
their
you
two
going to
through
give it your
10.
points to?
And even like sometimes you're like, oh, that's second place finisher.
So who is
So
your
who's
number
number
one? And
one?
then
Like
you
in
see
your
something and you're going, oh,
and then it's
okay.
Latvia.
Well, and I think, like, again, we said 13,
Sure.
and I think one of those, like, UK got 12 from
Hmm.
somebody. Okay.
Yeah,
We're not saying it's a bad song. We're just surprised
sure.
that a jury gave it its top points.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like every time yeah, Italy gave UK their 12
12
points
points
from the
were
jury.
up for grabs.
They were all over the place, and I feel like we've not seen it be so many different ones. Like, and last year it was just Switzerland,
Right.
Switzerland, Switzerland. Like
You
it
knew
felt
if
like
it wasn't
every
going to
other
be like
one. And if you
Switzerland, it was
didn't,
going to be Croatia last year.
yeah. And if you didn't see Switzerland in the top 10, it was going to be Switzerland.
Right.
Like there was never any doubt. Or yeah, if you did see Switzerland in there, you knew it was like Croatia or something else. Like it was a lot more predictable. And
They
this
kept us
time
on
it
our
was
toes.
like all over the place. All over the place. And like, yeah, seeing somewhere Sweden wasn't in the top 10 and at all, like I was like, wow, you're not even giving him 1 point? Okay.
It's kind of fun to see
Sure.
that, though, if I'm honest. Like, we know that there's not a
Mhm.
landslide because different music is for different people. And that's right. That's
Right.
potentially how it's supposed to be. Not even potentially, that's how it's supposed to be. So
Yeah.
getting 13 of
Mhm.
these 26 getting 12 points tells us that different juries are looking for different things. People appreciate different aspects of a song. And so just because it's not your
Mhm.
favorite doesn't mean it can't be somebody else's favorite. And the juries really showed us that. Either that or the juries are just making it up and
think
doing it. I'm assigning meaning to this, and that it's intentional, that music speaks to different people in different ways.
And I think some people might interpret it as like, well, yeah, because there was no clearly best song. Like, and a lot of the haters of this year will be like, yeah, that's because all the songs were bad, and so they had bad ones to pick from, and so they had to just pick one. And I don't think so. I think this year was really diverse, and I think that it's kind of cool that there wasn't like a runaway winner. I mean, and I do think we all kind of knew that it would be Austria.
We didn't want, like, I'm in denial going into it, but you knew.
Yeah. Like, I went into it knowing Austria's not in my top 10. It's not for me, but I know it's
you understand the quality of it and the the musicality of it, the vocals. Doesn't mean I have to enjoy it. Does that make sense? Like, I will never hate on the song. When we played the bop and flop, I have to assign one of two things to it. So for me, I assign the tag flop. Does that mean it's a bad song? Absolutely not. It's just not.
No.
For me, it is not something I'm putting on repeat. What's the word I'm looking for? The commerciality of it, the mass appeal of it. I don't know that it's there, that we've seen from some of the previous winners. Again, does not mean it's not a good song.
Yeah, because I have, I've heard like Tattoo. I've heard that around, not very often, but I've heard people play Lorraine's Tattoo, and again, that wasn't really for me. But
are we getting wasted love in the club?
But like, no,
it's not. I mean, it's not supposed to be.
Well,
but
which club? And which minute mark are we talking about? Because the
last 15 seconds will just get you on your feet.
Turn up.
But as we talk about JJ, I do want to say congratulations. We're excited about the outcome.
Huge bravo.
We know that it was co-written by Taya, which of course we know from Austria with Who the Hell is Edgar. I have been following her career since she was on the Eurovision stage. I've enjoyed the music that she has written for herself, and now seeing that she is providing this, song to the Eurovision stage, I'm excited for her. So congratulations to Taya.
Yeah, and to JJ, yeah. I mean, like we said, I know we're being kind of haters about it, but the talent is undeniable. Absolutely.
Haters in the best way possible.
Congratulations.
We're still going to lift you up without loving your song, right?
We're not haters, we're critics, without any credentials.
And critics. I will argue till I am blue in the face that it is okay to not like a song, but still respect everything about it. Not everything is for everybody, and that's okay. Okay.
But I can absolutely acknowledge, and that's kind of how I feel about Lithuania. Not really for me, but
talent's there. Just not that's not the song I'm going to vote for, and that's fine. And so, I think on that note, we will say congratulations to JJ in Austria. We will see folks in Austria in 2026. I know that
fingers crossed for Vienna. I know they've put in their
the next several months are going to be a waiting game. If we look at last year's timeline, it wasn't until August 30th that we were told that it was going to be in Basel. So buckle up, folks. It's going to be a few months before we know any details. We will, of course, share everything we know as we learn it. So thank you for joining us for this Kiki. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok, also Eurovision Kiki. We'd love to hear from you. Please tell us what you thought of the semifinals and finals. Give us your hot takes. Until then, we will see you at our next Kiki. Bye.
Bye.